Good day, everyone. I am Anrene G. Esperanzate, a student of Sorsogon State University, School of Graduate Studies, taking up Master of Arts in Education, major in English. I am going to present my study entitled L1 Proficiency as Determinant of L2 Proficiency, the case of third graders of Casini Elementary School. This paper targets to investigate the second language acquisition of the learners rooting from mastering their native language, as what the education terms today as the mother tongue. Mother tongue-based multilingual language education, or MTB-MLE, entails the use of local language as a language of instruction from kindergarten to year 3. This also involves an addition of the subject mother tongue to the concerned grade levels to foster further understanding of the medium of instruction, or MOI, used in the classroom. This policy considers the fact that students, as well as teachers themselves, communicate better in the teaching-learning process with the language most accessible to them. So with the use of mother tongue in the learning process, studies also shown that L1 proficiency improves L2 proficiency. So not only does L1 promotes better communication and language in the classroom instruction, but it also improves proficiency in L2 learning. According to research, L1 education has a positive impact on L2 education. That is according to Cummins of 2000, Mackenzie of 2009, or Wenjo of 2012. And also, it promotes child's academic success as well as his ability to learn foreign language. Many countries have embraced multilingualism, and developing countries can attest its societal and educational benefits. In a survey conducted by OCAL of 2014, countries like Canada, Belgium, Switzerland, South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya are found to experience multilingualism. What are the benefits of this? First, it helped in enhancing cross-cultural strategy and cross-cultural communication skill in these countries. Furthermore, benefit in education includes the creation and appreciation of cultural awareness. It also adds academic and educational value. It also enhances creativity and adjustment in society and of course, appreciation of local languages. That is still according to OCAL of 2014. Now, let us come to my study's objectives. This study aimed to investigate whether L1 proficiency is a predictor of L2 proficiency of third graders of Casini Elementary School of Barangay Casini, Irusin, Sorsogon for academic year 2020 to 2021. Specifically, it aims to first determine the level of L1 proficiency of the pupils, 2. Identify the level of L2 proficiency of students, and third, test the relationship between L1 and L2 proficiency level. These objectives are realized through the following methodology. So the study employed the descriptive correlational research design. This is because the study aims to determine the level of L1 and L2 proficiency of student, and it also sought to find out whether there is a significant relationship between L1 proficiency and L2 proficiency of the respondents. The respondents, furthermore, are 10 randomly selected pupils of Casini Elementary School. The pupils' profile, including names, age, and their academic skill, were not disclosed in the study. The students are named as Student A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, to J. To test the relationship of the three subject areas, person R correlation with 0.05 margin of error is used. This will determine if L1 proficiency is a determinant of L2 proficiency. For data collection procedure, the data is requested from the class advisor of the class itself. To obtain this, a letter of permission was sent to the school principal, and upon approval, the researcher is then permitted to meet the class advisor to discuss the nature of the data necessary to the study. The data was provided immediately. The class advisor gave the researcher inputs from her observation herself about the students' performances, which had greatly helped in the data analysis. For data analysis, as mentioned, um, for testing the relationship of the respondents' rating in each subject area, it was interpreted using the person R correlation with 0.05 margin of error. And for the level of performance of students in each subject area, it was determined by categorizing their academic grades based on the descriptors provided in Department of Education Order Number 8, Series of 2015. It is as follows: 90 to 100 as outstanding, 85 to 89 as very satisfactory, 80 to 84 as satisfactory, 75 to 79 as fairly satisfactory, and below 75 as did not meet expectations. For result and discussion, the researcher discussed four salient points of the study. First, the L1 learners' L1 or Southern Bisacol proficiency. Second is the learners' L2 or Filipino proficiency. Third is the learner's L2 or English proficiency. And finally, the relationship between L1 and L2 proficiency. It is noteworthy to think that this study has termed Filipino and English as the student's L2. Filipino being the student's national language and English being the international language. So let's come now to learners L1 proficiency, or L1 as their Southern Bisacol. So as the researcher have um, seen, she found out that the learners used the mother tongue Southern Bisacol because they are from Irusin, Sorsogon. Using the depth rating scale, it was revealed that the respondents' grades are ranging from satisfactory to outstanding performance as seen in the table. Particularly, 1 or 10 of the pupils have the outstanding performance, while 6 or 60 have the very satisfactory performance. Meanwhile, 2 or 20% has a satisfactory performance. The data revealed that the pupils in the third graders are highly proficient in their L1, in which 70% are found to be very satisfactory. This could imply that these learners have received an ultimate level of instruction in order to reach this level of performance. Thus, it is rightful to think that in this level, pupils are already well introduced to their L1. Next, for L2 or Filipino proficiency, as seen in the table, the respondent's grade ranges from satisfactory to outstanding performance. Their grades range from 80 to 91. However, it was akin to their L1 proficiency. However, breaking it down shows that 20% or 2 of the students have an outstanding performance, while 5 or 50% have a very satisfactory performance. 3 or 30% have a satisfactory performance. This data revealed that in learning L2 or Filipino, 50% of the students are very satisfactory. This could imply that there is still a need to further enhance the classroom instruction in Filipino for a greater number of students to reach a high level of performance in the subject area. It can be assumed that these pupils are a bit struggling to learn this L2. Teachers must therefore look for ways in order to deliver the suitable instruction to the learners. For learners L2 or English proficiency, using the depth rating scale as seen in the table, it was revealed that the respondents' grades in learning L2 English ranged from fairly satisfactory to very satisfactory. It ranges from 77.5 to 89.5, wherein 5 or 50% have very satisfactory performance, 1 or 10% has a satisfactory performance, and 4 or 40% have fairly satisfactory performance. Of three subject areas, only L2 English has reported no outstanding performance and with fairly satisfactory performance. This implies that these pupils are challenged in learning English language. But being non-native speakers as they are, this data is however assumed. Ray, Research has it that non-native speakers usually struggle learning a foreign language, and factors causing the difficulty could vary from one person to another. That is according to Linkage of 1971 and Swartz of 1997. Addition to this, third graders have limited access and exposure to this language, making it hard for them to grasp the subject area. They are not fully introduced to this language because, after all, only the subject area, English itself, uses the language as its medium of instruction. For the relationship between L1 and L2 proficiency, as seen in the table, L1 and L2 L1 and L2 Filipino has an R value of 0.973 and L1 and L2 English has an R value of 0.848, both interpreted as having a strong positive relationship to L1. This proves that, like any other research, like of Sumblingo and Rico Hermoso of 2019, Humans of 2000, Mackenzie of 2009, and Orwenjo of 2012, L1 proficiency is indeed a predictor of L2 proficiency. This means that in order for a learner to gain success in learning L2, a strong foundation of their L1 should be established first. We could therefore conclude that the root cause of L2 proficiency is L1 proficiency. This study also supports the theory of developmental interdependence hypothesis of Cummins of 1979. This theory proposed that learners' competency in the second language is dependent on the level of competence already achieved in the first language. It is noteworthy to think that the current study tests two second languages of the learners, whose native speaker is Southern Bicol dialect. And as the result proclaimed, both have a strong positive relationship. This data implies that no matter what second language, for instance, Japanese, Spanish, Mandarin, French, etc., the learner prefer proficiency to it always roots from their L1 proficiency. Another uh, revelation was found in this data that about the instruction of the teachers in the Philippines. Findings tells us that the learners who gain success in learning L1 are likely to be successful in learning L2 as well, while those who struggle in L2 or in learning L1 are seen to be struggling in learning L2. This could imply that the teacher's goal of instruction does not merely focus on the application of language outside the classroom, but rather it is taught to enhance the learner's academic capability. It is more like a pencil paper test than a knowledge-based instruction. For conclusion and recommendation, based on the findings of the study, the researcher concluded that the third graders of Casini Elementary School are competent of L1 and L2. However, the data revealed that among the three languages, there are learners who encounter difficulty learning English language compared to learning Filipino language. It implies that learners have a satisfactory performance in L2 because in learning L1 and L2 Filipino because it is the language used in their daily basis. It is the mother tongue or the native language and the national language. It is easily acquired because it is the learner's language in the country she or he belongs. Furthermore, the data revealed that the L1 proficiency is a determinant of L2 proficiency. The data further tells us something about the teaching capability of the educators in the Philippines. Teachers taught these languages as a mere subject alone, but not as a language learners applies outside classroom instruction. With these conclusions, it is recommended that teachers should revisit teaching strategies in language learning. Furthermore, parents should be educated of the K-12 program with MTB-MLE policy to gain insightful knowledge of its benefits, especially as it links to L2 proficiency. We can therefore conclude that learning L1 is not a hindrance of foreign language learning, but it further supports the child's L2 ability. That ends my presentation. Thank you.